kneeling down and praying to God. And he said, God, can you please give me some feelings that you are here, And then the God sent a cool breeze. And you know what he did? He went and closed the windows, thinking it's, I'm getting a cold breeze. And then he said, God, I want to hear you. Please talk to me. And then God sent some beautiful birds so that, the birds can chirp and talk to this person. He again went and closed all the windows. Shh, get out, This is a prayer time. I want to be silent. And then he said, God, can you please come and touch me? Then he sent beautiful butterflies, which they came and sat on the man's shoulder. So that is actually the God touching him. But he said, no, And finally the God said, I'm going to write to you. You please write back to me. So God sent a lovely email to the man to read. You know what he did? He thought it's a junk mail and deleted it. So this is how we take life. So with this, like a brief warm-up about life, how God should be a part of our life. And I would like to call upon Professor Dennis Alexander. And I think we don't need to introduce him. He has been a wonderful speaker yesterday. And I think I'm so happy to introduce Dennis. We have a similar subject expertise. I also have my PhD in immunology. I did a lot of research on viral diseases. So today morning, without taking much time, I would like to call upon Dr. Dennis Alexander to talk about creation or evolution, intelligent design, creationism, complementary or contradictory. I'm also looking forward for his speech, like you all. Over to Dr. Dennis.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's wonderful to have a new day, and the grace of God is new every morning. I think we've already been thinking of that, haven't we, in the last half an hour in a wonderful way. So, creation, evolution, intelligent design. We have quite a big topic, don't we, this morning, which I know is of quite some interest to people in the Christian community and other communities as well. I actually lived for 15 years in the Middle East. I lived in Lebanon, I lived in Turkey, and was quite engaged in the science religion in that part of the world. So it's interesting, whatever part of the world you go in, this topic somehow seems to be of interest to people. And in many parts of the world, especially in Latin America. We've done a number of courses there in Brazil and Argentina and Chile, and Guatemala, different countries. And it's interesting that wherever you go, somehow this topic seems to be of some interest. So, okay, so do we have to choose? Well, we have the technology, and to change my slides, it always helps to put the little stick in there, and then we can change them over much more easily. So let's do that first. So clearly, when we are faced with a choice between things, we have to think, what kind of a choice is it? Okay, we might as well start with ice cream this morning. I know you've had your breakfast, but sometimes we have to make a choice between two competing types of the same kind of thing. If I'm faced with a choice between a chocolate ice cream and a vanilla ice cream, I really have to make that choice, don't I? But now let's say I have to make a choice between appreciating the beauty of the ice cream and also enjoying its taste. Well, I might say I can do both. I can appreciate the taste and I can appreciate the beauty at the same time. So that's the kind of decision we have for us this morning. And clearly there are some people who think you do have to make a choice between the two. And one or two speakers have already quoted from Richard Dawkins, who is our export atheist from our own country in Britain. And he wrote this some time ago. He said, I pay religions the compliment of regarding them as scientific theories, and I see God as a competing explanation for facts about the universe and life. So you can see quite clearly, can't you, that in Dawkins' mind, somehow science is in competition with religion. They are somehow providing competitive, competing explanations about reality around us. And in fact, one time in a TV program, he said, Darwin removed the main argument for God's existence. So clearly there, the choice is between creation or evolution. You cannot have them both. That's his view. Now, very interestingly, you find a similar kind of view right at the other end of the spectrum, if you like, amongst the creationist community, maybe especially in the United States, I have to say, where there is a very strong creationist movement that says they agree with Richard Dawkins, actually, in their philosophy of science. And they say, yes, you have to make a choice between creation and evolution. Creation is right and evolution. And so they have big campaigns and against Darwin. And so, interestingly, there you see in one end of the spectrum, philosophy of science, agreeing with the other end of the spectrum, with young earth creationists who also, yes, you have to make a choice between. I think it's worth thinking a little bit here about the way that big scientific theologically, and if you look at the history of science, you'll find this. You get let's call it scientific theory X, some big scientific theory, becomes very popular, becomes well known in popular culture. Very quickly what happens is that different groups will move in and they will try and use the prestige of this big in order to support their particular. And so this scientific theory X equated, it becomes equal to ideological meaning Y. When people hear the word, they often think The Origin of Species by Charles Darwin. You will find that it's been used in support of almost every ideology you can imagine. It's been used in support of capitalism, of racism, of feminism, of theism. It's been used as there's a powerful process of the complementarity model, and indeed this morning we analyze it at the physical level into physical aspects and understanding God. To the question of creation or evolution, we have to think, are we choosing or clearly, and as we yesterday, spend a bit of time here. I know theological students, it's not an ideology of atheism, just using the best explanation in science for all the biological diversity in the world. So it's a scientific theory is to do the first point to make. And when Darwin wrote the book The Origin of Species 9, he called it descent with modification. In fact, the word evil in Darwin, he called it descent with modification. And it was Darwin. We can all go back to Darwin. How he really changed European language Dutch, and I take English, and I want to find out what is the last common ancestor. I find out that it's Old Saxon. And of course, here with the wonderful display in this country, you could draw a kind of map where you're drawing the line of a picture that you get compared to biological. I think to remember, we are using a kind of way. Now, in common speech, when we talk about a theory, we can say, well, it's only a theory. It's going to rain tomorrow, it's only a guess. For the vineyards of England and Wales, it's not the most important map. Okay, but you have a map where you're bringing different bits of information together in the same map. You're joining up data, you're making sense of data. And so on the instead, along came an 5-year voyage on the Beagle. And at that time, there were lots of bits of data already, not all the data on the screen. You know, Darwin knew geography, anatomy, fossils were beginning to come along, and other bits along since. But isolated, there was no big theory that would join the data up, make a grand theory. And so now, if you join it all up, that's what Darwin did. He realized you could make sense of all the that theory. We talk about the theory of, we're talking about because it gives you a good map that you can see. I don't want to give you this morning the evidence for evolution. I'm sure you're familiar. What do we mean really by vestiges? For example, the baleen whale was, and it shows many vestiges of natural history museum. If you're lucky, you will look at. Well, what's a leg bone? It doesn't need leg bones. It's about. We also very occasionally, when babies are born, they have a little bit of cells in our own bodies. I'm really thankful we don't. These chairs would be really uncomfortable in church. You put your tail. Biologists worry about, but we don't have to worry about that because it's switched off. But it's evolutionary. Have vestiges. By natural selection, that's the second into the genes. So many, many different ways. It happens through. It can happen through what we call so forth. Ways in which into. So that's step one. By the way, I did not know come along. That understanding didn't come till several decades later. And that in that generates a line of will happen to the next generation. Really how evolution works. Now, solid. Easy to remember.